All right, y'all, welcome to the show. Right off the bat here, we're going to be discussing the Republican Civil War. Yet again, they're imploding. They're trying to oust their speaker after they just ousted the other one like 7 seconds ago. So we got a new name has thrown their hat into the ring to fight back against Mike Johnson. Then we'll get to that big story, man. There's a valedictorian at USC who was supposed to deliver a speech at the graduation in May, and she is being censored and banned because she might bring up Palestine. So, a lot to say about that. It is deplorable what's happening to her. We'll get to a really interesting poll that just came out on Trump's hush money trial, what the American people think of it, how is it going to impact the presidential race, the potential outcomes. There's a lot of stuff in there, and some of it's actually kind of contradictory, so it'll be interesting to get into all the details. Then later on in the show, we will discuss the election rigging lies that were told by all of the right-wing outlets. They are definitely catching up to them. So we already know about, $787 million settlement that Fox News did with Dominion. Well, now Smartmatic is getting in on the fun, and I'll tell you the new information we have on that front. So we got all that and more. Everybody do me a big favor. Subscribe to the channel. What are you doing with your life if you haven't subbed? Hook a brother up with a sub. Costs you nothing. Helps us out massively. And a massive thank you to everybody who supports the show on Patreon. You guys know we couldn't do it without you. I've never talked to an advertiser before, so you guys fund this show from the ground up. I'm deeply, deeply appreciative. All right, let's dive into it here. Oh, I just kicked the camera. Axios is reporting that there's a new Republican who threw his hat in the ring to stand up to Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House. Quote, "We are screwed. Second House Republican joins Mike Johnson ouster effort." So the original one was Marjorie Taylor Greene. The new one is Thomas Massie. Conservative Representative Thomas Massie is joining Marjorie Taylor Greene in her efforts to oust Speaker Mike Johnson after the Louisiana Republican announced plans to bring multiple foreign aid bills to the floor. So this is apparently the biggest point of contention. Is that actually the case? I don't know. We'll dive a little bit deeper, but they say, hey, the funding of Israel and the funding of Ukraine. Now, almost all of the Republicans, bar maybe a handful, are in favor of sending money to Israel. Ukraine is a little more complicated. I would say probably 70% of the Republicans want to send more money to Ukraine, 60, 70%. But some of them don't. Okay. Johnson's speakership is in the most precarious place it's been since taking over the gavel, coming under fire from conservatives over his handling of an array of policy issues. Massie told the room he feels Johnson should resign and asserted he would co-sponsor the motion to vacate. Greene, for weeks, has threatened to force a vote on his ouster over Ukraine aid, doubling down despite former President Trump asserting he stands with Johnson. That's actually really interesting. So the big guy, the man in charge, the head guy, Donald Trump, says, no, MAGA's with Mike Johnson, but Marjorie Taylor Greene and now Thomas Massie are like, we don't care. Massie's comments were met with boos from the majority of the conference. 2 members confirmed. Interesting. It's a clusterfuck, one member said, adding, Johnson got a round of applause. Quote, "We are screwed," another member told Axios. Members have asserted that they don't want additional chaos with another ouster, but with the slim majority Johnson faces some of his most difficult hurdles yet. Some Democrats have said they will bail Johnson out on the floor so he does not meet a similar fate to his predecessor, former Speaker Kevin McCarthy. So you guys remember when Kevin McCarthy was ousted, it was Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert who were kind of leading the charge. There was a ragtag group of between 6 or 8 Republicans who revolted. They did the motion to vacate. They successfully got him out of there. And the argument made against Kevin McCarthy is basically like, hey man, you're a sellout. Hey man, you're giving the Democrats way too much. And so Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert did their little virtue signaling bills where they were like, we're in favor of cutting the budget by a lot of money. And they proposed it. And these bills literally didn't even pass the Republican House. Never mind passing the Senate, impossible. Never mind being signed by Biden, impossible. So the fact that Kevin McCarthy was in a position where he had no choice, but he had to talk to Democrats and make deals, that was enough for these people to go, you're a massive sellout. Kevin McCarthy agrees with Matt Gaetz on 99% of political issues. The idea that they made this you're not with me. It's just not true. They agree with each other. Honestly, a lot of it was Matt Gaetz wanting to virtue signal on social media and act like he's the purest of all the Republicans. But I love it. I actually support it because it brings about a tremendous amount of chaos on the right. and that's glorious. So now, remember, Marjorie Taylor Greene was big in favor of Kevin McCarthy. Now, she's the one who's leading the charge trying to oust Johnson. And she makes him argue, oh, he's a sellout. Oh, he's working with Democrats. Oh, look at the, Ukraine funding and all that stuff. So here, I got a clip here from Massie. This is him talking about the meeting with Republicans where he was booed and Johnson was cheered. Listen.
There's only one person right now who can stop us from going into what happened last fall, and that's Mike Johnson. He's cleaning the barn. That's obvious.
So you want him to resign? You want him to resign?
Yes. Yeah, I asked him to resign.
What did he say?
He said he would not. And then I said, well, you're the one who's going to put us into this. Because the motion is going to get called, okay? Does anybody doubt that? The motion will get called, and then he's going to lose more votes than Kevin McCarthy. And I have told him this in private, like weeks ago.
And there are just so many questions, Wolf, still about how this will play out. One, about the critical policy issues, the aid to Ukraine, to Israel, to Taiwan that has been stalled here in the House for more than 2 months now. Will Mike Johnson have the votes to actually advance that? That is an open question. Mike Johnson's new plan has not been formally released yet, even as the Speaker is trying to push it. And then what do those conservatives do? What do Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie do? Do they actually call for that vote? They can do that, and they can force a vote within 2 legislative days. And then what will Democrats do? Will they actually save Johnson? There are some members of the House Democratic Caucus who have told me that they, in fact, will save Mike Johnson, especially if he moves down the way they want him to move on Ukraine aid in particular. So a key moment here for the Speaker and the Republican majority, which has devolved into bitter infighting and chaos, now threatening the second Speaker. After the first Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, was ousted last fall in unprecedented fashion. Never before in American history has a Speaker been kicked out by his own colleagues. Could the second Speaker happen to be kicked out now? That is an open question. Is Mike Johnson's speakership now in peril?
So it looks like what's going to happen, this is Mike Johnson's response to this. It looks like what they're going to do is separate the Israel aid and the Ukraine aid. Right? And the theory is, well, because I'm separating these bills out, the Israel one is going to pass, but the Ukraine one is going to get blocked, and then that'll appease the Republicans who don't want to send aid to Ukraine, and he'll be able to save his job. The other thing is, I genuinely don't know if what Massie says is true, that he's going to lose more votes than Kevin McCarthy, that Johnson's going to lose more votes than Kevin McCarthy. Because in retrospect, a lot of the people who wanted to oust McCarthy, they felt like, we kind of made a mistake doing that. And so are they going to do the same thing now? Because the fact of the matter is, the rub on Republicans is chaotic, extreme, incapable of getting anything done, incredibly fractured, petty. Like, this is the view of Republicans in Congress, not just among the media, but also that's the vibe you get among voters now too, is that Republicans have been constantly punished for going full MAGA, for doing stunts like this, right? Now, on the one hand, I respect the fact that there are some people who are willing to stand up and fight from within the caucus. But on the other hand, the things they're fighting over are mostly dumb. There's a handful where I actually agree, believe it or not. So, like, some of these hardline Republicans teamed up with progressive Democrats to say, we don't want to expand the illegal warrantless spying. Fuck FISA. We're done with that. We don't want to do that. And so they fought. They weren't able to get everything they wanted, but they were able to lower the number of years that the program was reapproved for, down from 5 years to 2 years. Again, that's because progressive Democrats got together with like hardcore right-wingers. And so that's actually a rare area where I agree with them, and I agree with the fight and respect the fight, and I'm happy they did do the fight. But on a lot of these other issues, it doesn't, like, they're just wrong, right? So, like, one of the big things that they get mad at Mike Johnson for is he's also going to do a spending bill with the Democrats. You can't not do that if you're Speaker of the House, right? Like, you have to do it. You're not getting enough concessions. There's only so many that they can get, right? You don't have the numbers. You don't have the numbers in the Senate. You don't have the presidency. Like, what do you want a Republican speaker to do, even if you're a hardcore right-winger? From Massie's perspective, I understand him a little more in particular because he's like a Ron Paul-style libertarian. He's totally against any and all foreign aid stuff. Now we're in like the 12th round of aid to Ukraine and the 5th round of aid to Israel as they're doing a fucking genocide. And so he's like, I don't want either one of those bills to pass. I don't want Israel aid. I don't want Ukraine aid. No way. And now Marjorie Taylor Greene is also like, I'm not sure where she is on Israel aid, but I know that on Ukraine aid, she's against it. And so there's another like rare issue where I'm kind of with them on the substance, but the fact of the matter is literally any person you pick to be the Republican Speaker of the House, they are in a completely untenable, unwinnable situation. Because it's impossible to both govern and please the hardcore MAGA members, right? Massie's not MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene is. But, like, you can't, with a broad caucus, you just can't appease them all. It's just not possible, right? And at some point, you just have one or two more Republican Congress people resign, and then Hakeem Jeffries is going to be Speaker. So, like, they have a complete and utter lack of unity. And again, on the one hand, that's respectable because some people are standing up and fighting for some things, even if I don't agree with them on all the specifics of what they're fighting for. But on the other hand, it is also just absolute chaos. It's chaos and it's gridlock and nothing at all can get done. And no matter who takes this position, they're going to be accused of being a sellout. They're going to be accused of getting soft, right? And so, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I just like when Gates took out McCarthy, I supported that. I support them gunning for Mike Johnson too. Because then, by the way, after that, who the hell are you guys going to pick next? Right? Who are you going to pick next? The whole point of Mike Johnson was like, we don't like anybody here. And he's the one who seems most likable among all the factions. So I guess we'll just give it to Mike Johnson. Like, that's where we're at. If you get rid of him, where are you going? I don't have an answer to that. I don't know what the answer to that is. And I don't think they know the answer to that. But again, I think they're deluding themselves if they don't think that this actually is being registered by Americans. I think they look at it and they go, Jesus Christ. You know, on the very basic things about governance, you guys can't get shit done, man. You guys can't get shit done. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But look, you guys know me. On the substance of an Israel aid bill again at this point, I'm voting no 10 out of 10 times. I think it's crazy for anybody to vote for that, given what we know Israel is doing and how much money we've already given them. That's like a hell no from me. But they're imploding yet again. The civil war is heating up yet again. And it makes me think, is there ever going to be a time now where the Republicans are not at civil war? Because now even Trump is saying, I'm with Johnson, but other Republicans are like, we don't care. Fuck Johnson. Fuck Johnson. That's funny. Funny phrase. Anyway, there you have it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.